Ladies and gentlemen, señores y señores, welcome to the Lunch Table Talks podcast, and I am your host, Juan Mendez, and will continue to be your host for as long as this podcast runs, and for as long as I want to share this amazing vision that I have for a podcast and a radio show. This is a place where I could not only develop some skills and expand my portfolio, but I want to bring some joy, some fun, entertainment, and make folks smile all over the place. That is the absolute goal of this podcast. Now, I will describe that vision a little bit on this first episode, which is more of an introduction than anything. The later episodes will be more engaging in a sense of I will have guests and we will have multiple topics, but the length of the podcast will truly depend on how successfully we cover those topics and how it flows, because that is what this is all about. That is what the name of this podcast is, Lunch Table Talks, because you don't know where a conversation is going to go. It might be a friendly one, it might get heated, it might be very opinion-based, or even informational. And like I said, philosophical ideas, and just the sharing of opinions and perspective. That is what this is all about. We will discuss, like I said, sports, music, we'll discuss food, college, anything in life. And we're going to bring a lot of different viewpoints from different cultures, languages, absolutely everything. And I cannot wait to show you guys what this has in store. Now, before I introduce more about the podcast, I have to talk a little bit about myself. My name is Juan Mendez. I was born in Sogamoso, Colombia, and I lived there for 13 years. And in 2013, I moved to Miami. Absolutely love Miami. That's if I could choose a home in the United States, it would be in Miami, because I moved to Texas recently, but like I said, Miami, the culture, the food, man, it has my heart. It's amazing. I absolutely love that place. Currently, I am a student at Penn State University. I am a first year student, and I am chasing a degree in journalism. And what I plan to do eventually is work in the beautiful field of sports broadcasting and media. And this podcast, for example, and this show is going to be a way for me to determine exactly what I'm good at and what I want to do, whether that is bringing in the ideas, performing through those ideas, or producing those ideas. It all depends, because my true passion is to make people smile, make people engage. And you probably noticed by now, but I love talking. I love talking about basically anything. I love to hear opinions and asking questions. That is why I'm gonna go back to what I mentioned. We're gonna go a little bit in depth about what this podcast is about. I want to ask individuals that I'm gonna be bring in as guests. I'm gonna ask them questions, see what they think about not just world issues and world sports, but just life in general. It might get a little bit it might get, like I said, philosophical. That's the whole approach that I have to this. I want to bring in people that have certain very strong and strict opinions and be able to learn from them just as much as I want them to learn from me, and how much I want you guys to take away from this podcast. I want you to think differently after every episode about whatever it is, even if it's music or anything, food as well. We could talk about absolutely anything you could imagine. And that's what makes this podcast so free. The availability to talk about whatever you want. That is why it's the Lunch Table Talks. In high school, I loved being the person that asked questions and engaged people in conversation. I was not always the most loud, but I would always have a question ready and be able to engage people in it. And that makes me really, really happy, being able to make people interact and make people talk, and not force an interaction, but create one, and a positive one. That's what I love doing, and that's why I decided to make this podcast come true. Now, 30 seconds left on the short introduction. That's all I really wanted to say. I cannot wait to bring excitement to you guys and just have some fun in here. That's what this is about. I'll be informational, but the main focus of this is to have some fun and learn about each other. So thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Juan Mendez, and this was the first episode, or the introduction, you could say, of the Lunch Table Talks podcast. Thank you for listening, and I will catch you next time. Thank you.